If you are a fitness professional and you want to calculate your client's daily calorie goal, but you don't know where to start, don't panic, because I'm going to show you in this video in 3 simple steps. Step 1, first thing you need to do is calculate your client's BMR. This is their basal metabolic rate, which is the minimum amount of calories that your client needs to sustain their bodily functions. So even if they were to lie in bed all day long, not doing any physical activity, their body still needs a minimum amount of calories to function. So this is the equation. Now, at first glance, this is going to look a bit tricky, but all we do is just break it up. We just do the bits in the brackets first. So you can see in the first part of the equation, it says 13.7 times weight in kilos. So obviously you need to know your client's weight. Now I've got an example here, a male who's 40 years old, 180 centimeters tall, weighing 86 kilos. So that first part of the equation for me is 13.7 times 86, because that's their weight in kilos. Now ignore the plus, we're just going to move on to the next part. So you make a note of that result, and then you go to 5 times height in centimeters. My client is 180 centimeters tall, so I will do 5 times 180. Make a note of that, then move on to the next bit. Ignore the minus for now. And then you want to make a note of or calculate 6.8 times age. My client's 40 years old, so it's 6.8 times 40. Now, once you've got those 3 numbers, then you can move on to the final bit of step 1. So 13.7 times 86 worked out as 1,178. 5 times 180 worked out as 900. 6.8 times 40 was 272. So I add the first 2 together, 1178 plus 900. Make sure you hit equals when you do this on your calculator, then minus the third one, which for me was 272. So that comes out as 1,806 calories. So that is my client's basal metabolic rate. So if you haven't finished that yet, just hit pause. I'm going to move on to step 2. Now we need to calculate our client's total daily energy expenditure. And to do that, we take the basal metabolic rate and we multiply it by their physical activity levels. And to do that, I use this little activity multiplier. So I will decide with a client whether we think they're sedentary, lightly active, moderately active, very active, or extra active. Now, it's my example, the male that's 40 years old, 180 centimeters tall, weighing 86 kilos, is very active. So that's this one here, 1.725. So I take the basal metabolic rate of 1,806, I multiply it by 1.725, and that gives me 3,115 calories. So that is my client's total daily energy expenditure. Now, if your client's got a fat loss goal, that isn't going to be their daily calorie goal because they want to burn some body fat. So they need a deficit. So that's where we move on to step 3. Calculate your client's daily calorie goal. So this is their total daily energy expenditure minus the calorie deficit. And that's going to give us the total daily calorie goal. So when I say calorie deficit, I want to refer you to this little table here. So it's important that we choose the right calorie deficit for the right client. Now, obviously, the greater the deficit, the greater the fat loss to a point. So on this chart here, the maximum calorie deficit that we recommend is 1,000 calories per day. A daily deficit of 1,000 calories leads to 0.9 kilos of fat loss per week. And that is the maximum we recommend. Any greater than that is unlikely. It's just coming from fat. You're going to be losing muscle as well, which we don't want to do. So if you want to go for the fastest optimal amount of fat loss per week, then go for a deficit of 1,000. Or if you prefer a more modest approach, then you can opt for a 500 calorie deficit or a 250 calorie deficit. It really is down to you and your client. Now, if clients really want to see results quickly, then yeah, it's probably best to go for the maximum of 1,000 calories. But bear in mind, the greater the deficit, the harder it is to sustain. You are going to feel hungrier with an aggressive deficit of 1,000 calories. It may affect your productivity. It may affect your mood. So you will just have to bear that in mind. I've done personally 12 weeks of 1,000 calorie deficit per day, and I got great results, but it was challenging. It was very difficult. If I was to do it again, I possibly would go towards more of a modest one and perhaps go for the 500 calorie per day. So all you do is taking my male 40-year-old client as an example. I take their total daily their total daily energy expenditure, which was 3,115, and I minus whatever deficit I want to go for. So I've chosen 1,000 here, which comes out as 2,115 calories. So that is my client's daily calorie goal for fat loss. And that should get them 0.9 kilos of fat loss per week. Hope that was helpful.